Today we're going to be doing how to fillet fish video. It's been absolutely forever since I've done one of these videos, so it's going to be awesome to do it right now. As you guys can see here, we've got some solid tilapia to work on. Believe it or not, yes, this is indeed a tilapia, and they're really big. Shot out of Lake Mead. If you guys haven't seen that video, go ahead and check it out.
Ooh! Dang, that's a nice one too.
Senior and I went out to Lake Mead and both fished some massive tilapia. We got a lot of them. Filleting fish is very simple. This method could be used on just about any fish out there on the planet. These fish have really hard scales and they're kind of tough fish, bigger fish. They can be harder to do. But rule number one, you want a nice sharp fillet knife. So the beauty about a fillet knife is they bend, so you can work around those bones, and also really sharp. This one's a little bit crooked because I've been using it a lot. These guys got solid scales, so sometimes it'll help if you don't want to dull your knife out really fast to go ahead and scale around where you're going to cut. So the first cut is going to be fairly important. It's going to be an angle towards the top of the head. First of all, you're not going to cut straight. You can, but you could angle your knife towards the head and also on the top, and it's going to go around like this. Go back behind this gill plate, and then I always just cut straight down like that. And that's because there's some good meat up here that you don't want to miss. Go ahead and turn them. So after you do that cut right there, barely cut through the skin along this back right here. Boom, just like that. But after you do that, you had barely cut in the skin there. You're gonna get your knife and run it along the spine of the fish. Let your knife do all the work. So I'm gonna take my knife and just ride it right along those bones. Right all the way down the fish. Just let the knife follow those bones. It's a fairly simple process. You just do this all the way down. Because once you start getting too far over these ribs, you hear there's not very much meat. So I just go ahead and I cut about that far down. You guys can see here, this is the spine of the fish. When you get these bigger fish like this, once you hit the spine on one side, you want to work over the spine and go down on the other side. Because if you don't, you're going to miss a lot of meat. Once you're about to that stage there, you can just poke your knife through. Once you get on that other side of that spine, poke your knife all the way through, and this is where a good bend on your knife comes in handy. You bend it and follow that bone and leave some skin right there at the end of the tail. Get the rest of that fillet up. Boom. So now that you got your fillet separated, this part's fairly simple. This is gonna make it skinless fillet now. You go ahead and come to the end of the fillet, cut down to the skin. You're gonna get good bendage on your knife. Follow that skin. Now this fillet's a little bit bloody, but once we rinse it up and trim it up, you got completely boneless fillet. Now what I'll do before I'll cook it is all of this red right here, I'll go ahead and trim that off the fillets later. I'll trim it up, wash it up. You can see it was shot right there by an arrow. But the other side of the fish is the exact same process. So we're gonna go ahead and get to working on this. It's the exact same process on both sides of the fish. So on this last fillet right here, you can see all of that red that's on the back of the fillet. Tilapia have a really thick bloodline on their fillets. Once you start getting a little bit better at this, you can try to avoid that bloodline as much as you can. So you cut down to the skin on the end of the tail, and instead of completely riding the skin extremely tight like I did on that last fillet, you can lift it up just a hair bit to where you're not missing enough meat, and you can see how it's starting to leave a little bit of that red on the skin. Need to lift a little bit higher. You can lift off of that skin just a little bit. You might think you're missing meat, but as you can see here, all of that's pretty much nothing but red there, the stuff that you trim off later anyways. And now you can see there on that fillet, I don't have to trim nearly as much. But there's the other side of this fillet that's ready to be trimmed up and cooked. But these are completely boneless, skinless tilapia fillets. Every once in a while, they have kind of like a pin bone, and you'll be able to feel them right in here on the front end of the fillet. Watch, get the camera close to this fillet. Hear that? That's the pin bones. So what I like to do a lot of times is I'll feel where those bones are, and I'll go ahead and just cut them out. You're not missing much, and I'll just go ahead and trim it off like that. So this stuff, not very much meat at all, and there's bones in it. So now this fillet right here, completely boneless, skinless. Number two, completely boneless and skinless fillets. You can see that's the tilapia fillet. Didn't miss any meat at all. You can see my fingers through there. All that's just nothing but bone. So because it's so hot out here in the desert, we can't just throw our fish carcasses into our trash cans because they actually rot really fast and they start to stink super bad. So what we'll do is we get trash bags like this and throw the carcasses into the trash bags. We're gonna go ahead and freeze it in our freezer, and come around trash day we take them out and throw them out, because here in the desert it's starting to get over 100 degrees every day. And if you throw this in your trash can and it's 100 degrees in a solid black trash can, this thing is gonna start to smell horrible within a day, really. So you don't want your neighbors to be smelling that, and you certainly don't want to be smelling that. These things are invasive species here in the state of Nevada. So you guys can actually go out there and bowfish them at Lake Mead. You can spearfish them, you can net them. Any way you can catch them, you can keep them. I actually think it's illegal to let them go. I think I remember seeing a forum on it a while ago. If you guys liked this video and thought it was a good tutorial, please consider dropping a like and a subscribe if you're new to the channel. It really helps out. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you outdoors.